So once again, we have some solid advice from Jesus in the gospel reading. Minister to the people who welcome you in peace. For the people that don't welcome you in peace, knock the dust from your sandals and move on to someone more open to the message. It'd be nice, it'd be certainly an ideal world that's always the way it worked, that people were always open to whatever it is that you were proposing. That's not the challenge in life. The challenge is when you go and present yourself to someone and you're greeted with hostility. What do you do in that situation? So, like so many others, this is a teaching of Jesus that's easier to appreciate once you consider the alternatives. And after pondering about it for a while, it would seem that there are two basic ways to ignore Jesus' advice and act in a less than appropriate manner. And the first one is pretty obvious. The obvious way to ignore Jesus here is to present yourself, someone turns you down, and then you refuse to leave, and you don't take no for an answer. We hear that a lot in movies, don't we? We don't take no for an answer, and it sounds cool. Here's the thing. In reality, if you don't take no for an answer, you're probably pretty close to something considered harassment. And harassment is always bad. If you add religion into the mix, well, then it's super easy to imagine just how obnoxious this behavior can get in no time at all. Excuse me, sir. Could I please talk to you for a while about Jesus Christ? No, thanks. I'm good. I'm not interested. Come on, just a minute of your time to talk about how Jesus Christ is your personal Lord and Savior. Like, look, man, I'm standing here waiting for a friend. I'm not interested to talk to you. Please leave me alone. I'm not going to take no for an answer. We're going to talk about Jesus, and you're going to thank me for it later. It's no way to act. And there are many ways that conversation could go very badly, very quickly. We need to respect people's right to say no. The only real exception is if they're intending to commit a crime in the near future. But otherwise, knocking the dust off our feet and moving on, that is a more respectful and a more dignified course of action. So that's the obvious way. The second way you can deviate from Jesus' teaching, I admit it's a little less obvious. It's about keeping someone's attention and interest by telling them whatever it is they want to hear. So I'm talking about altering your message for the sake of a more favorable reaction. That is a tempting option. I will definitely agree with that. But it comes at a deviously high price. Because once you go down that road, then your message is forever linked with popular opinion. And that is not what Jesus had in mind. The gospel message has never been meant to be negotiable. Come on, Jesus, can't I be a good person for 2 days of the week? I'll feel kind of guilty for the other 5 days. What do you say? It doesn't work like that. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a subjective element to truth. Compromise is a necessary life skill. And some things actually do change and adapt over time. Just look how differently Paul ministered to the Gentiles compared to how Peter preached to the Jews. So all of those are factors, no problem there. And I absolutely believe that we should be focusing our efforts on encouraging people for the good they do rather than reprimanding them for the bad that they might be up to. I mean, we should be focusing on our similarities and focusing on the positives. That is a solid strategy that's building people up on whatever foundation we have to work with. No problem there. However, there comes a point. There comes a point where you have to make a call where you will either stick to your guns and maintain a kind of difficult truth for people to accept, or you can change your message to be less challenging and more acceptable to others. And again, that is a very tempting option. But the more important the truth is, the more vital it becomes to keep that truth as whole and as entire as possible. Because after all, if you think about it, if your message can be changed at any time and in any way, well, then you can't really be saying much at all. Truly important messages really do have to be whole and entire. So, with that said, I got one more thing to say, because I'm a little afraid that some of you might come to the conclusion that we're advocating running away when something becomes challenging, and that's not the point. That's not the point. I'm going to use a real-life example here, because a few years ago, a bunch of us went to the Amazing Parishes Conference. So that's a church leadership seminar sort of thing. And the most notable lesson they gave us for that 3-day workshop, they said, church leaders, you have to understand your parishioners are on a spectrum. On the far end of the spectrum are your good parishioners. They love the parish. They are proud to be a part of the parish. They see the direction the parish is going in. They volunteer. They are happy to help. They're easy to work with. They're the people you like being around. Those are your good parishioners. And on the other hand are your difficult parishioners. And they're not necessarily your faithless parishioners. Their faith is not the problem, but they're combative, they're non-compliant, they resist any change or decision, and they will complain to get what they want, and they will basically be opposed to any decision church leadership makes. Literally every parish has at least a few of these people, and the majority of your parishioners are somewhere in the middle, of course. And so what I found notable was they said, there are so many church leaders in any denomination who are just killing themselves with exhaustion because they're following conventional wisdom, and they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And they spend all their time appeasing the most negative people in their congregation. And Amazing Parishes says, that's not the way a healthy parish functions. Because first of all, if you're going to be appeasing negative people, they're still going to be negative. They're just going to find something else to complain about. But secondly, you're reinforcing that bad behavior. You know, if they get what they want by complaining, well, then they're just going to complain the next time. So Amazing Parishes says, you're better off giving your energy and attention to your good parishioners who are contributing to the parish mission and cooperating. Because first of all, you're getting a more of an advantageous return, because you're spending your energy on the people who are giving back to the parish. But also, if you establish that pattern, then your neutral people and your negative people, well, then they might consider changing their behavior when they see that there's a better way to get what they want than complaining and resisting against leadership. And I found that very remarkable, because that is a testament to the power of being consistent with your mission and your message. If you compromise your mission and your message to make negative people happy, it's probably not going to work the way you expect. So in conclusion, for this gospel reading, we are not called to be obnoxiously harassing. We are not called to run away. And we are not called to change or alter our core mission and message. But instead, we are called to be courageous and strong with our mission and our message. And we are called to trust in other people to recognize and react to the authenticity of that message and mission, that they may take part in it with us on that journey of faith.